Hey crew, I've got the key to this 26 Ford F-350 King Ranch Tremor. This is a Class 3 full-ton pickup truck, and this week we're going to see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. I've got the truck angled ever so slightly to clear the hedge at the back of my driveway, while the front tire is hovering over the edge by about an inch. It's sitting next to nothing at this very moment because Mobile Mama had to take the kids early in the E53 AMG wagon that she is reviewing. If you want to check out her content, it's at Mobile Mama on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. When she did have that parked here pretty close to the edge, there was enough room to walk between the vehicles thanks in part to the power folding door mirrors of the truck and the Benz, but we couldn't squeeze a wagon or double wide stroller for our kiddos. The front end of this 21-foot long truck is hovering out over the gutter and beyond that into the street, while at the back of the truck, there obviously isn't room to walk in front of the hedge on the path to my front door. When first getting in with the key fob on me, there's smart keyless entry, so putting my hand on the front 2 door handles unlocks all 4 doors. And as I open up the door, when the AMG was parked here, I could go to the second defined notch, and I am going to use this power running board, which does come down pretty far because even at 6 feet tall, this truck is a foot taller than I am with the Tremor package and the 2 extra inches of ride height it gains. So stepping here, using the grab handle, it is an easy way in. Closing up that door, it's a good thud. Hey cabin crew, thanks for joining for this day in the life in the 26 Ford F-350 King Ranch Tremor. In this video, I want to see what it's like to live with one of the burliest, consumer-oriented pickup trucks you can buy. All right, let's fire it up. It's a rambunctious startup from that Godzilla 7.3 liter V8, and if you were to use remote start on the key fob or have a programmed departure, then that rumbling idle might disturb your neighbors if it's early in the morning and you live this close to them. Before we get out of here, I want to show you where I'd put the items I bring with me every day. Like my iPhone, which is sitting on this wireless charging pad, and as a 17 Pro in its case, it's a perfect fit. If you've got a bigger phone, you might need to take it out of the case. I've got my 32-ounce metal water bottle, not here in the giant door pocket, but rather in one of the cup holders. And I could bring more than just one of these, more than just 2. I could bring 4 of them because the top slides over. This is so cool. And then in the console, I have everything else. I've got my slimline wallet and a couple snacks on the tray up top, my GoPro accessory case, my Racebox 0 to 60 timer, an additional mic set, Ray-Ban Meta sunglass case, outdoor furniture set. Now, anything you want to bring with you, you're going to fit easily inside this cabin. Now we can head on out. I'm going to throw on my seatbelts before pulling the gear selector down into drive and then pushing here to release the parking brake. I'm going to roll on forward. I've got the curb ramp set up for clearance, but that's not an issue in this truck. What might be an issue is the turning radius. Oh, and I can't forget, I do have to manually hit this button to release the door mirrors, just like when I parked it, I had hit that button to fold them in. And as I attempt to make it past my neighbor's basketball hoops, I'm going to bring up the front-facing camera to see if that is in fact possible. Additionally, my neighbor's Atlas. Well, that's getting pretty close. I'm gonna have to back this one up just once to clear that with confidence. And that is a fitting snapshot of daily driving the F-350 with the crew cab and the 6'7" bed. It's long, it's tall, it's wide. You have to take everything carefully in your maneuvers. But the King Ranch does treat you nicely. You've got heated seats, ventilated seats, one of my favorites, a heated steering wheel, and even massage. When I get down here, trigger it on there, and I've got a few different options. And of course, I'm going to go to level 3 intensity, and it's actually a great massage. Oh, I almost did forget about one key storage cubby. I usually wear my sunglasses while I'm driving, and here in this case, I've got my hat cam on. I don't need them, but those are housed in this overhead cubby, and it does have a protection for the lenses. So that's key. We also have these auxiliary switches, which aren't hooked up to anything, but you can. Back to driving this 7.3 liter V8 with 430 horsepower and 485 pound-feet of torque. That's served up via a 10-speed automatic that's super smooth in the gear changes and sends the power to your choice of the rear tires or all 4 tires via a proper 2-speed transfer case. And this engine is well suited to this vehicle. It moves the 7,000 pounds with ease, and it also makes some very satisfying grunty noises while shoving you forward. The most difficult part about driving it is actually just the amount of play to the steering, which is typical for trucks of this size. You don't want too sharp a response, but it does mean that you're moving around between the lane and needing to constantly monitor it. The braking is excellent. The pedal is super responsive. You get that nice bite, but then you can feel it out and arrive at a stop gracefully. That's a word you don't really say with a truck like this, but I'm saying it now, it's graceful. And friends, there is something to be said for sitting this high up and seeing all around the surveying traffic. I mean, people driving around in half-ton pickup trucks look tiny from this vantage point. So I know for me, whenever I'm in heavy traffic, I just want to see what's going on, even though I can't have any control over it whatsoever. And that is something you are afforded from behind the wheel of the F-350. Ride compliance is surprisingly good as well. Of course, you have the solid rear axle hopping you around a little bit, and the Tremor's off-road tuned suspension and knobby all-terrain tires, but it is in no way obnoxious to daily drive this truck, and actually, it absorbs some of the road blemishes quite well. And then, of course, you have these seats, which are thick slabs of leather and fabric that cushion me oh so very well. If not holding me in place, I don't plan on taking heavy G-force corners, so that's okay. I have yet to address a critically important piece of daily driving, and that is the sound of the turn signal, which is an unobtrusive knocking noise. I don't mind that. Now for the turning radius, I have to pull pretty far into this intersection before cranking that wheel and taking all 3 lanes. That is how you turn around in an F-350. Now, if someone is driving recklessly on the road and you need to alert them to their error via horn, what will you hear? I mean, maybe it's louder outside this truck. I can't hear it much from inside the cabin, but it seems a bit puny. Fortunately, you're driving something of this size. It's pretty intimidating, so hopefully no one is going to cut you off for fear of what may lurk within that truck. All that's lurking right now is a guy that needs coffee, so I'm going to stop in here at True Brew. Now, sometimes I park way out here in the boonies because I'm driving something very expensive I don't want damaged, and well, I guess this truck is $100,000, but that's not why I'm parking out here. I just don't want to have to squeeze in next to puny other vehicles, so I am going to back into one of these spaces over here, and I'll give myself some extra room to do so. Before I go up into reverse, that prompts a reasonably high-res backup camera. I've got the bird's eye view as well, and as we heard when I was making my way around those basketball hoops, I do have parking sensors to help, along with door mirrors that don't just have the top normal view, it's also got a wide-angle bottom view, so I can plot where my tires are tracking, which in this case appears to be over the lines, but now we've got it right. And I'm going to back on up straight and pause before the bushes. We've made it. All right, decaf Americano and a breakfast burrito have been acquired, and good heavens, look how far the F-350 sticks beyond the parking space. And within the lines, there's a little bit of room on either side, but not much. And I do want to talk more about the exterior styling, but let's take this somewhere where we have the space to dissect it. And these cup holders can handle big bottles, but do they handle small ones as well? Yes. securely with those little prongs. All right, I polished off my breakfast burrito and my coffee, and I found some room here to look at this F-350. You know, chrome had its heyday and it fell out of style, but I like that they put this chrome package to go with this Marsh Grey paint. It's a really cool look. So you've got this end-to-end chromed out grille along with the border for the Ford logo. You've got the C-shaped daytime running lights, reflector LED headlights. That's an interesting choice. Down here, the bumper is chromed out. It's around this worn 12,000-pound winch. And with the Tremor pack, you've got steel skid plate protection over here on the side, 35-inch Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack all-terrain tires around these two-tone 18-inch machined alloy wheels. Those look chunky. They fill out the wheel wells nicely, although, I mean, I could see 37s or even 40s fitting in there okay. And we're not done with the chrome, because it's here around the F-350 badge. It's on the top of the door mirrors, on the door handles, the bottom part of the window trim. Oh, and it does have the full width marker LEDs because of how wide this truck is. And as I step back to just take in all of the 21 foot of truck, this is such a good look. The Tremor package just helps it look proportional. The length of the bed, the size of the cab, the height of the tires, and you got the Tremor badge there. Get into the back, more chrome, this thick slab on the tailgate, just spelling it out for you. And again, I think it works for this truck. The tailgate is powered, so that comes on down slowly. There's an integrated step that deploys along with a handle so you can get up and in more easily. And the bed is all sprayed in with protection, and this is a hard tonneau cover that folds up and in. If you want to lift up the tailgate, you can just nudge it with your knee so your hands are full of 2x4s or feed for your animals. And to access the bed, in addition to that step, you've got one in the back bumper and an optional retracting one, so it's almost a staircase of access to make it extra easy for you. It's the same deal for this built-in side step where you can add on this deploying one as well, so there is no trouble getting to what you need. One final exterior mentionable: you can leave the key fob in the truck with this optional keypad system to enter a code unlocking it or locking it. And in general, the exterior, as I said, is intimidating. So it really only makes sense for you style-wise if you are a giant human being and need the space, or if you need the utility. Now, we will drive to my ranch in just a moment, but I wanted to see about real-world 0 to 60 performance. So I've got my race box set up here to record. There's no sport drive mode, but I do want to make sure I'm in 4 drive high. And with that now done, I'm going to give it a bit of a brake boost off the line. Letting it go. And we'll hit 60 in 8.35 seconds. So it's not a rocket ship, but honestly, what do you expect? And it'll get you there and sound good doing it. Now on the way out to my land, I am going to use some driving assistance features which are equipped to this King Ranch model, like adaptive cruise control with a lane keep assist. It is some steering assistance as well, so it will help center me in the lane, but it's not a full Blue Cruise hands-free highway driving system like you can get on the half-ton F-150. This is still very helpful. I'm just demonstrating again how it's holding me in the center of the lane. It does want my hands back on here, but it applied brake as traffic slowed in front of me, so I don't need to use the brake or the throttle to maintain a gap to the traffic in front of me. That's especially helpful if you were going to commute in this truck in similar traffic each day. And the steering assist system is really nice because of how wide this truck is. So even just a fraction of a second being distracted, you could depart your lane because you're so close to it. Having this pull you back in, or at least not letting you depart, is great. My only critique for that system is that sometimes it's not recognizing my hands actually being on the steering wheel when they are. So it's warning me to put my hands back on, and they never left. I have to just give it extra resistance so it knows. Okay, we've made it out to my land. And I'm out here because this is actually an environment where it might make sense to own an F-350. If I had a ranch and I needed to tow heavy-duty farm equipment with some of the 22,000 pounds of towing capacity, or perhaps I needed to haul food for my animals, or materials, or equipment with some of the 4,000 pounds of payload capacity this truck offers. And I actually don't have access to any of those things. So today we're just gonna pretend I'm moseying about my property where the roads are uneven and I might need to use some of the Tremor's off-road capability. Let's start with the ride compliance out here where there are big ruts and maybe some washboardy terrain. The solid axles front and rear do like to jostle around, but the twin tube off-road tuned suspension, like on the road, is absorbing these defects so that the punishment in through to my seat is really more like a more intense level of the massage. I can deal with this. Maybe I'd ask the masseuse to turn it down a notch or two, but I could deal with it. Oh look, it's one of those heavy-duty pieces of equipment that I need to tow. Oh, but I've parked it too close to the other ones, so it looks like I'm not gonna be able to sneak in here and get it out of there. That's the reason. That's definitely the reason. I've arrived at part of my property where things get a bit more technical, so I'm gonna take it out of two-wheel drive high. Let's move the drive mode selector over to the off-road setting. That's going to automatically shift us into four-wheel drive high and lock up the rear differential so we can mosey on up with greater ease and confidence. Also, the front-facing camera has been pulled up on this large screen with tire trajectory lines, and with all the additional ground clearance and the 35-inch all-terrain tires, and with the confidence of steel skid plates to protect the vulnerable underside, I can make my way up. It's just bouncy. That's all. That's all it is. Hop, hop, hop. Really, the only risk to a truck like this in this environment would be the lengthy wheelbase. It's 160 inches in this configuration, so the breakover angle isn't terrific. You just want to make sure you're plotting out a route where you don't get hung up in the middle. The turning radius isn't terrific either, especially in four-wheel drive. So I am most likely going to have to make an adjustment, or not. We've scampered, folks. Then if traction is severely limited or the incline gets extreme, I could use the two-speed transfer case to go into four drive low, pop it in neutral, roll a little bit, back into drive, we're locked in 4 low, and okay, wow, just instantaneous low-end torque boost, feathering the throttle and just easily climbing up this steeper slope. Moving on up. What a view. Moving on up. Here we are, cresting over. That front-facing camera is very helpful there. I've got confidence that I'm not going to drop off the edge of a cliff. There it is. It's a bit smoggy out there today, but still quite the panoramic vista. Oh, it's so nice to own all this land. One day, son, this'll all be yours. All except for what the shadows touch. And if you don't know what that's from, I'm afraid we can't be friends. On my way back down, I do have the hill descent control where I can set my speed in 1 mile per hour increments so I don't risk the loss of traction if I was just to hug the brakes and kind of slide my way down, which is a real risk when you've got 7,000 pounds that can carry momentum. This, where I can just focus on the steering, not the throttle or the brake, is rather nice. I guess I really am the king of the ranch. Jesus is the real king. Today, let's test the practicality with a Costco run to benefit the charity Families Forward. This feels like the starter kit to my very own Costco warehouse. This is my biggest haul ever for a good cause with the biggest truck ever. Now, I'm not actually gonna use this 6'7" bed because honestly, it feels a little like cheating. Of course everything is gonna fit in here. Even if this hard folding tonneau cover is really nice because it keeps everything shaded. Because instead, we're gonna do something better than shade. Because after I remote start it, the cabin will cool off and the goods won't overheat. Before I begin loading, I'm gonna lift up the seat bottoms to free up more real estate. These all-weather floor mats do provide grip, but I can still slide things across the cab. This truck being huge works out for me at 6 feet. I can move things in at hip height. So far, it's been pretty easy, but here comes the bulk. I sorted, I organized to the best of my ability, but I still have some things left over. Now, I could get all these in here, but I don't want anything too heavy or too sharp up high that could slide into the front of the cabin. So I'll just throw in the soft toilet paper and paper towels, which fits, leaving myself a window of visibility out the back, and then I'll just pop these stragglers into the bed. I can't wait to fish these out later after they've slid all the way to the front when I hit the brakes. Whee! Now, after returning my trolley like a responsible shopper, I can confirm the Ford F-350 Super Duty is Costco approved any way you want to pack it. On my way to drop these things at Family's Ford, I want to check in on the passing power. And if you give it a sec, yes, it does get you chugging, but given the length of this vehicle, to find your way into a gap, it will require more time and effort, so do a bit of planning before you punch it. Now that I've found my lane of choice, I'm gonna quiet up to listen for the cabin volume. All right, so regardless of the surface, whether it's smooth tarmac or that little concrete slab back there, you do hear a bit of tire hum from the all-terrains, but it's not that bad. And the wind noise is at a surprisingly low volume given how blocky this truck is, nor do I hear much from the outside traffic. Maybe I'm just so elevated above all that's going on, but this is a fairly quiet cabin. If I did want to listen to some music, there is a Bang & Olufsen Unleashed surround sound system equipped to the King Ranch, and we've got wireless Apple CarPlay to access that. Now that doesn't take over the whole screen, so it does require a little more care when you're selecting the icon of choice, like finding Spotify over here. And then let me queue up my playlist. There we are. Now we'll use the physical volume knob to turn that up to a little more than halfway, and all I can handle. Now, I am a Bang & Olufsen fan, and pretty much every application I've heard one of their sound systems, it's been very well balanced and has certainly had enough wattage, and that is clearly the case here for the F-350. It completely blocked out all the outside noise. The hit of bass was tremendous, and that won me over quickly, but there was also clarity in the high and mid range, so that gets a big thumbs up for me, and it's nice that it's standard. Well, looky what we have here.
What do we have?
If
Did the cows get out?
What? Oh, the cows? You mean on our big ranch?
Yeah.
Because we got a King Ranch?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's Mobile Mama in the back of my King Ranch.
Oh.
Fancy seeing you here. I do like the sights. And we're done with that. What do you think of the back seats?
Oh gosh, spacious.
Quite.
Lots of leg room.
Yes.
But
Big
it
foot
doesn't
pockets?
feel as big as the what?
The F-150?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a little more about, I don't know, daily use. This is more about the utility. Yeah, you could put some big people back here. I got headroom and leg room, but
probably fit 3 car seats across.
Yeah, because you're so far away.
Yeah, let's keep it that way.
Oh well,
Just
let's
kidding. Love you.
create a little buffer right here. Armrest with cup holders.
Far away.
What else? What do we got?
We got heated seats.
Yes.
Some nice leather. Climate.
USB-Cs? No climate
control back
No climate
here.
control. That is odd. I mean, it's $100,000. There should be climate. I mean, you're paying
There
for a
should be.
lot of capability, utility.
Yeah, but we need to control the climate back
Yeah,
here.
that'd be nice.
USB-Cs
Mhm.
and an AC outlet.
Yep.
Little spot here for a drink or a phone.
Mhm, two
That's
more
nice.
there.
No sunshades.
No, but tinted windows.
Yeah.
And a panoramic sunroof.
Yeah,
That's
it's nice.
partially closed right now. Should we try to put car seats in?
Sure, let's do it.
This is really all I wanted to know. If you could put a rear-facing car seat behind my driver's seat, and you can with
Yep.
inches to spare. So yes, plenty of room. And then just try to sit in between.
Oh, easy.
Show the folks at home
Show the folks.
if you can fit.
Are we broadcasting this?
Yes. So the kids are coming, and the older kiddos can use this big old running board and the grab handle to get up and in.
Yeah.
Curious how high off the ground the side step is.
Measure it out.
Yeah, let's do it. About 16 inches off the ground. So the kid has to have long enough legs
Yeah.
to hoist themselves up and in. What about the front? I'm gonna take a snoozer
Wow.
because I can go all the way back.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is a full recline here.
This is after a day of hard work. You
Yes.
just go take a
On
little
my ranch.
snooze.
On our
our
ranch. Then we're gonna take naps, and your seat will do it too.
Oh, nice.
And your backrest adjusts. You can have it tilt up a
Oh,
little bit
that's
if you want.
perfect. Okay.
Give me your thoughts. Cabin layout, materials. Does it feel like it's $100,000?
I like the layout. We've
Mhm.
got a lot of storage.
Plenty.
What's under here?
Wireless charging. Mhm.
USB-C's, storage there.
Mm,
We got some nice details, which is fun, like all the branding.
that's
Nice.
wood, right? Yeah, that is wood.
Yeah,
Real
that's
wood.
wood. The only thing I'm not liking is like this stuff. Like,
Yeah, they sneak
I don't
in
really
some
like
cheaper
that.
trum. What do you think of the brand?
It's cool.
Little squiggly, snaky thing.
Yeah, it's like with those branding irons that we use.
That we use on our
on the-
cattle
Yeah.
all the time. Just did a herd yesterday. Branding them right up. It's about time to refuel this 34-gallon tank, and this class of truck is not EPA rated, but a lot of owners report 10 to 12 miles per gallon combined. During my 234 miles behind the wheel with a lot of idling in the heat, I'm averaging 8.8 miles per gallon. At current fuel prices of $5.75 for the everyday driving 87 octane gas, it's gonna cost $195 to fill this tank, and there isn't capless fueling to save me any time. Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered what it would be like to live with one of the most capable production pickups on sale. And after quality time spent behind the wheel, I've concluded that you certainly can daily drive it, but if you don't have a good use for its mega utility, you probably shouldn't. At just under 21 feet long, 7 feet tall, and 6.5 feet wide, the Super Duty is a chore to park and maneuver in lots and through traffic. It also greedily consumes fuel with this Godzilla 7.3 liter V8 and the Tremor packs 35-inch all-terrain tires. The height may also be an issue for kids, as it's 16 inches just from the ground to the power running board. Fortunately, the rest of the daily driving experience is excellent. The King Ranch's leather seats have a great massage. Both adults and car seats fit in the back with ease, and this monster V8 is a peach when putting around town. The Tremor's additional off-road capability means this truck will take you just about anywhere, even if your land is hazardous. And of course, when towing or hauling serious weight, only a 3/4 or a full ton pickup will do. Oh, there's that giant turning radius. Anyway, 100 grand isn't cheap, but this truck brings the look, the luxury, and the credentials to back up that price tag. I hope you guys have enjoyed this day in the life, and I will see you again next time.